Right now feels like one of those strange moments in NASCAR where something just doesn't sit right. A legend is winning. He's celebrating. He's reminding everybody why he's one of the fiercest competitors of his generation. And yet, there's a cloud hanging over it. It's not about performance. It's not about talent. It's not about desire. It's about opportunity. And when a driver who lives and breathes racing starts facing barriers that have nothing to do with speed, that's when things get complicated. There's a bigger story building here, one that could quietly shape what the next chapter looks like for one of the most accomplished drivers we've ever seen. And it ties into something we're also seeing happen to another major name in the garage. Trust me, this matters more than it seems. Before we break it all down, if you're a real NASCAR fan who lives for this kind of inside conversation, hit that like button and subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report. We're a new channel trying to reach 5,000 true fans who actually care about this sport. Honest NASCAR conversations without the corporate filter. That's what we do here. All right, here's where this gets real. Kyle Busch is back in the Truck Series in 2026, driving the number 7 Chevrolet Silverado RST for Spire Motorsports, with HendrickCars.com as his primary sponsor. He's running 8 Truck Series races this year, the maximum now permitted under NASCAR's amended participation rules, which increased the allowable race count for drivers with 3 or more years of Cup experience. Fans have already started calling it the Kyle Busch rule, and honestly, that nickname fits. In his most recent start, Busch looked completely locked in, controlling the race alongside Spire teammate Carson Hocevar before taking the win. His last Truck Series victory came at the 2026 FR8208 at EchoPark Speedway, another trophy on a shelf that's already beyond full. Consider the numbers: 2 times NASCAR Cup Series champion, 2015 and 2019, the all-time wins leader across NASCAR's top 3 series with 233 total victories, the all-time Xfinity/O'Reilly Series wins leader with 102 wins, and the all-time Truck Series wins leader with 68 wins. No other driver in NASCAR history owns those numbers. So with all of that, here's the part that honestly feels unbelievable when you think about who we're talking about. Samantha Busch, Kyle's wife, was recently running an AMA Ask Me Anything session on Instagram. A fan asked whether she supports Kyle's racing outside of the Cup Series. Her answer was direct. She said, "I do. I love that he will be driving 8 truck races this year. If we could get sponsorship, I know he would do as many as possible in the O'Reilly Series too. He just loves to race." She didn't rant. She didn't complain dramatically. She was just honest. And that honesty hit hard. Because what she revealed, without making it a headline, is that Kyle Busch cannot get a seat in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series right now. Not because he's not competitive, not because no team wants him, but because the sponsorship money isn't there. Let that sink in. A 2-time Cup champion. The driver with more O'Reilly Series wins than anyone in NASCAR history. 102 wins, one of the most decorated drivers to ever strap into a stock car. And he can't get a ride in Tier 2 right now. Kyle Busch has not raced a single event in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series since 2024. His last start in that series was the 2024 BetMGM 300 at Charlotte. For someone who was a regular across all 3 series, that is a seismic shift. To understand how this happened, you have to go back to Kyle Busch Motorsports, KBM. Busch owned that organization and ran it in the Xfinity Series from 2011 to 2013 and the Truck Series from 2010 to 2023. When he owned KBM, if he wanted to race in the lower divisions, he controlled those seats. He had guaranteed entries, built-in sponsorship infrastructure, and complete autonomy. That structure no longer exists. KBM was sold, and with it, that guaranteed access disappeared. Now Busch is dependent on external sponsorship dollars committed specifically to him and on team approval to put him in a car. Without a sponsor stepping up for Kyle specifically, there's no automatic seat waiting. Drivers love racing in the O'Reilly Series for real reasons. The field is diverse. The current spec cars keep them sharp. It reconnects them to their roots. And the super speedway races in particular are the ones drivers circle on the calendar, the most sought-after events on the Tier 2 schedule. For Kyle Busch, these races aren't just fun side projects. They are part of his DNA. Imagine being Kyle Busch, still hungry, still capable, still competitive, and having to sit out because the funding doesn't line up. And here's what makes this even bigger. It's not just Kyle. In 2026, even Denny Hamlin had to make a plea to his own team to help secure sponsorship to run in the Tier 2 division. If a name like Denny Hamlin has to ask, that tells you everything about the current sponsorship climate in NASCAR. This isn't a Kyle Busch problem. This isn't a Denny Hamlin problem. This is a NASCAR business problem. Budgets are tighter. Sponsors are strategic. The market has shifted. Even legends aren't immune. And the financial complexity in Kyle's world doesn't stop there. Kyle recently settled an $8.5 million insurance lawsuit against Pacific Life Insurance Company, a case filed in October 2025 and resolved in early 2026. The lawsuit alleged that life insurance policies were sold to Kyle and Samantha based on false or negligent representations, with the policies marketed as vehicles for generating tax-free retirement income, while also providing over $90 million in insurance protection. The case was settled without Pacific Life publicly conceding wrongdoing. It's not racing-related, but it illustrates clearly that Kyle's off-track life is just as complicated as the on-track battles. And yet, despite all of that, he still shows up and wins. So let's talk about that truck race. Busch and Carson Hocevar, Spire Motorsports teammates, controlled the race together from early on. Hocevar came out as his usual aggressive self, slicing, dicing, making bold moves through the field. Busch actually joked about it afterward, saying, "It was normal, Carson, all over the place. Not all over the place like out of control, just dicing it up, cutting moves and making plays like I probably once was." Then the dynamic shifted. In the second stage, Kyle became Hocevar's wingman. That worked. They figured each other out, and when it mattered most, Hocevar gave Kyle the push he needed to seal the deal. Busch noticed it immediately, saying, "It was nice to see that he's got it in him." That maturity from Hocevar, choosing to work together when it counted, is the kind of growth that transforms a talented young driver into a real force. Veterans and young guns figuring it out on the fly. A genuine moment, but also a reminder. The veteran was still the one taking the checkered flag. Now that cooperation is completely gone, because this weekend they head to EchoPark Speedway for the Cup Series race. The track, formerly known as Atlanta Motor Speedway, was renamed EchoPark Speedway in June 2025 through a 7-year, multi-million-dollar partnership with EchoPark Automotive, a pre-owned vehicle brand under Sonic Automotive Inc. The facility was reconfigured in 2021 to a 28-degree banked super speedway-style track, and it now holds the record for the closest 3-wide finish in NASCAR history, set in February 2024, when Daniel Suarez edged Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch by just 0.003 and 0.007 seconds respectively. This track is drafting, intensity, and inches. No teamwork. No pushing each other to victory. They're rivals again, pure competition. Hocevar enters emboldened after playing wingman. Busch enters carrying the weight of sponsorship battles off the track while trying to lock in momentum on it. Teammates can become obstacles in half a lap at EchoPark. If the truck race was any preview of how intense that drafting battle is going to be, buckle up. Step back and look at where Kyle Busch actually stands right now. 2-time Cup Series champion, over 100 wins in the O'Reilly Series. The builder of Kyle Busch Motorsports from the ground up, named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers in 2023. A streak of 19 consecutive seasons with at least one win, a series record, that ended in 2024. He currently holds the all-time wins record across NASCAR's 3 major series with 233 victories. Still fast, still aggressive, still hungry, but now dealing with something that has nothing to do with talent and everything to do with business. When you grow up watching a driver dominate every level he touches, you assume the opportunities will always be there. That assumption no longer holds. Budgets are tighter. Sponsors are more strategic. Teams have long-term development pipelines, And unless everything lines up perfectly, even legends wait their turn. And yet, Kyle still celebrates a truck win like it matters. Still building chemistry with younger drivers like Hocevar. Still showing up Sunday ready to battle at EchoPark like nothing's hanging over his head. That tells you he's not done. Not even close. When doors close on Kyle Busch, he finds a way to kick them back open. If the sponsorship pieces fall into place, expect him right back in the O'Reilly Series, full-time. NASCAR is just more entertaining when Kyle Busch is racing everywhere he can. There's one more layer here that makes this whole story more complex. Spire Motorsports, Kyle's truck team, the team that fields Carson Hocevar, Michael McDowell, and Daniel Suarez in the Cup Series, is currently at the center of a major legal battle. Joe Gibbs Racing is suing former competition director Chris Gabehart, alleging he took proprietary and confidential information to Spire after leaving JGR. According to JGR, a forensic audit uncovered Google searches about Spire, folders labeled Spire and past setups, and images of JGR files containing confidential information and trade secrets. JGR is claiming more than $8 million in damages and seeking to block Gabehart from working at Spire for 18 months under his non-compete clause. JGR attorney Sarah Hutchins stated in court, "He had the keys to the kingdom. Gabehart's defense is that his role at Spire is entirely different from his role at JGR, and that there is no evidence I transmitted, distributed, used, or otherwise shared any JGR confidential information." He has further alleged that the lawsuit is about punishing a former employee for daring to leave, and that his departure came after being pressured to become crew chief for Ty Gibbs, Joe Gibbs' grandson, despite having been promoted to competition director. As of February 28, 2026, a federal judge delayed the ruling on JGR's restraining order request, giving both sides until Sunday night to reach a resolution, with Gabehart permitted to work for Spire in the interim. The team Kyle Busch is running trucks for is navigating serious legal turbulence. The sport is evolving rapidly across business, legal, sponsorship, and personnel, all at once. The backdrop makes Kyle's situation feel even more layered. So here are the questions that matter right now. Do you think sponsors step up and get Kyle Busch back into the O'Reilly Series full-time this season? Is this just the new reality for veteran drivers? Or is the sport failing its legends? And when Kyle and Hocevar line up nose to tail again at EchoPark in the Cup race, who comes out on top? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you're a real fan of this sport, subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report. We're building toward 5,000 subscribers, real NASCAR fans, honest conversations, no corporate filter. This is your place. This isn't just about one weekend, one win, or one missing sponsorship deal. This is about where one of the greatest to ever do it stands right now, at a crossroads. The sport has changed around him, the economics are different, the landscape is different, but Kyle Busch hasn't changed. He's still that kid who grew up in Las Vegas, learning to steer a go-kart while his father ran the throttle. From winning 65-plus races in Legends car racing as a teenager to becoming NASCAR's youngest ever Cup Series pole winner at 19 years and 317 days old. To 2 Cup championships, 233 wins across 3 series, and building an entire race team from scratch. This man has earned the right to race anywhere, anytime. Sunday arrives. EchoPark Speedway, Cup Series, no wingmen, no teammates pushing each other to victory lane. Just Kyle Busch versus the field, including a younger driver he helped win just 24 hours earlier. And if there's one thing history tells us about Kyle Busch when the pressure is on, don't count him out.